Hey everyone, welcome to the September vlog. I am in the shop super early today. I've actually been in since 7:15. Part of my contract as being in the shop is that I do need to get my air conditioner serviced every 6 months, and I was due my service, and I like to get things like that done before customers come into the shop so we don't have workmen on ladders and people coming in, because that's just a real danger and insurance is not going to cover you for that. So I always elect to come in early, and most workmen like to be in early at 7:30. So we've been in since that sort of time, but that's okay. I've been pottering around while they've been doing stuff, and I was so super excited when I drove up the street this morning. I know good things are finally coming. Let me show you what's been going on outside. So you've heard me talking about how a lot of the foot traffic is directed to the other side of the road because of some building work that's going on down the street. It was meant to finish mid this year, and it's just kept going and going and going. And I drove up the street this morning and all the scaffolding and all the barriers have been taken away. All right, so all the building work has just been going on down there. Down there, there's actually a really nice boho clothing shop, and she said that since they've been doing all the building work down there, her business has really suffered. So hopefully she's going to get a lot more business as well. They still have got one white wall left to take down, but otherwise all of that was blocked off, all the parking on the street, so where all those cars are parked. No one's been able to park there for ages. So now that's all been cleared. Should be a lot safer to drive up and down this street. Before, people were being forced to cross the road up there, so these shops down here were just not getting any of that passing traffic. But now that they've cleared all of that out the way, we should hopefully get a lot more walking up traffic. It would be interesting to see if coming in on a Sunday now might actually help, because there's that little bit more parking. People can walk up and down the street a little bit easier, so maybe there'll be a little bit more foot traffic on Sundays. But I don't want to have to get hubby to mess around with his shifts again so we can end up with the same days off. So I will probably just leave it. My camera keeps moving. Probably will just leave it as we've got it right now. The other thing that they have done down there is they've taken away the really dangerous zebra crossing that was there. Oh, it was just so dangerous. You actually couldn't see if people were on it or not until it was just too late. So you really had to be careful on that zebra crossing. But they have actually, that's what they were doing when I came in this morning. They were sanding all the paint off the road. So hopefully driving back down that bit of street is not going to be near on as crazy scary as it has been. Once you get in there, you literally can't see what's going on around you, and the street was really, really narrow. And although it's only 40k down this street, I can tell you a lot of people drive a lot more than 40k up and down Bullcock Street. But it's going to make a world of difference to foot traffic. So I am super, super excited about that. But I have about an hour and a half until the shop is open, so I'm just going to pretty much be pottering around. Gives me the opportunity to actually talk to you as well. Just going to go and grab a couple of soaps from off the cure rack, and then I'll start wrapping them while we have a chat. I've just been and got these coconut lime soaps from off the rack, and I know that they're not as decorative as my usual coconut lime soaps, and that's because these were a bit of a mishap soap. I was making coconut lime soap to go as part of the new wholesale range, and when I was making them, I've never had a problem with coconut lime before, but this time round, I can't even explain what happened. I'd done all the usual, mixed my lime, my oils together. I poured my fragrance in. Everything was going well in the titanium dioxide sort of batch of it. And then I had a dark green and a brown, and I poured the fragrance in there, and I can't even explain what it looked like. I'd like to say mashed potato, but it looked like mashed potato with way too much oil and water left in it, and it just split out. And it didn't matter how much I stick blended this disgusting looking mess, it would not come together and hold. I don't remember showing it on the vlog, but I do know I showed it in my stories. And I said, that's it, never soaping with coconut lime again, because, you know, I was making double batches. And a few people did reach out to me and they said that they've had a similar problem when they soap with coconut lime too hot. So maybe, just maybe, I was soaping a little bit hotter than what I usually do, maybe only 1 or 2 degrees, because you know, when I was making all these soaps, I was just continuously filling up that oil tank and then getting on with making more soap. So maybe I did soap with my coconut lime a little bit too hot, and that was what was causing all this splitting. So even though I did say in my Instagram stories, that's it, I'm never soaping with coconut lime again, because I'm not wasting batches. I did manage to save just over half of the batch. So I ended up with 18 full-size loaves, and I had a whole heap of off-cut pieces which will go into my soapy odds and ends. I still did waste probably what was equivalent to maybe a third of the soap. And I was like, no, not doing it again, not with the prices of oils and everything else, not soaping with it. But because people have actually told me that it was possibly the heat, I will actually attempt making another small batch and seeing if we can get coconut lime going again. This one, I was able to save all of the white. Then what I did to get the sort of colour swirl through it, I poured some of that white off, added some green mica, mixed it together, and then, you know, did my little swirly swirl. But all the other stuff was just, it was not salvageable. People said that they would buy it from me, but at the end of the day, it was soft, it was grainy, it was making little pools of liquid and stuff. It was not a safe soap to use, so it had to go in the bin. But I have got these ones which are now ready to come off the cure rack, and I've had a few people saying, when are they going to come off the cure rack? We want them. And I announced it yesterday and I have got an order, so we have to get these ones wrapped. So as well as this order, I do also have another order for Julie, who runs Print Me Pretty, and she has ordered some of my wholesale soaps and lip balms. So we'll be making some lip balms for her today. She has ordered 2 different lip balms, 10 of each. Now I will also be making some to go on my own shelf because I'm a little bit out, and sometimes when you make lip balms it's actually better to make a bigger lot than a little bit. So we'll make a sort of bigger batch of those, and we'll see if that will go out today, but it will probably go out tomorrow, depending upon how quickly the lip balms actually set up and cool. But because I'm in the shop so early, there's a good chance we can get them set up and shipped out today. And then other than that, this week I have to continue on with my Christmas advent calendar. I've got a few more products still to make. Super excited about this advent calendar this year, and if people enjoy it, it will probably be the way that I go with all future advent calendars if this year is successful. I almost didn't do the advent calendar this year because it wasn't very successful last year. In fact, I think I know I didn't sell them all. There was actually quite a few that I had to break down and sell as the individual products in the store. So I know I didn't sell them all last year, and for that reason I'm not making as many this year as I have made in the past. The other big change as well is that for the last couple of years I have also offered a vegan option. The first year there was only actually one product which wasn't vegan friendly, and was easy enough to change over. Last year there were 2 products, and again they were easy enough to change over, but I did actually have to make quite a few. I ended up making, I think it was the first year I actually did 10 for vegan options, and I only sold I think 4. And then last year I did 5 vegan options and I only sold 2. So this year I'm actually not, there is again only one product in the box that is not vegan friendly. Very easy for me to swap over. But what I will be doing this year is actually opening up pre-order. And if you need a vegan friendly advent calendar, you will need to pre-order it. so that I know exactly how many of each of these vegan, non-vegan items I need to make. And once that pre-order is closed, there will be no more vegan options. I'm only making the vegan options for those that pre-order that need it. So if you are interested in the advent calendars, watch this space for the end of this month when I actually bring out the pre-order for the advent calendar, so you can actually get that vegan friendly one. Unfortunately, I just can't, make it and have it on hand just in case someone buys it, because I ended up, as I said, only selling 2 of the vegan options and had to sell everything else separately, which when you're actually making specialty items, it's a little bit harder to do that. But anyhow, all right, so we have got all of the soaps in their little shrink wrap now. I just need to get the heat gun on them, get them nice and packed down tight. Once I've done that, I'll pop aside the ones that came through on the order. Then I'm going to go and get my lip balm stuff out, and we're going to get started on that, hopefully get them made before I open up the shop, and then we'll get on with that day once that door is open. And it has been a really busy, productive morning, and I can tell you there is such a different sort of atmosphere with the fact that more people are walking down past the shop. It has just been really, really good day. I've had a couple of people coming in, which has been really good. But yeah, you can definitely feel that there is a difference now that that road has been opened up. I have been busy making stuff. We've got the lip balms sitting over there, including the ones I need to do my own top-ups. Now, I know earlier I said that I was going to to try and send out Julie's order today. But the more I sat and thought about it, I thought, no, don't rush it just to get these orders out. Make sure that they're going out as I want my orders to go out. So generally with my lip balms, I leave them sit and cool for 24 hours before putting the caps on, so that I know that the balm in the middle of the tube is cool, and that we're not going to have problems once we get those caps on. So I have decided that no, we're not going to send Julie's order today. We're going to let those lip balms cool and we'll do them tomorrow. I have also made another product and just letting it cool a little bit. It's for the Advent calendar. It doesn't get particularly hot, but there is a very slight exothermic reaction that happens. So I'm just waiting for that to come back down to the temperature. It doesn't take long. So once I finish packing orders, I can go and package that up. And I've also got a 4 kilo batch of hand cream sitting on the bench doing its thing too. I have got a few that need topping up on the shelf. And then also I have these little tubes which I've had from the Advent calendars, and I've got a few of them left over, and I just want to trial something in the shop. These are not going online. It will be for shop only, just for now. I get asked a lot by travelers if I've got the hand creams in smaller tubes. So what I'm doing is just making up a few different ones in the smaller tubes. I'll have them in a basket and people can, you know, rummage through and find them. As I said, I'm not going to put them online yet. I just want to see how they go. I've got very limited stock, can't really track sales very well. Like if they sell in store, they might also sell online at the same time. And I literally do not have many tubes available. What's kind of there is there sort of thing. So I'm going to trial that in the store. If it is successful and it's something that I'm going to always get in, then I will trial putting them on the website as well. Anyhow, what I am doing now is I am wrapping up some orders, and I'm super excited about this one I'm wrapping up. This one is for Rachel, and it has got one of the very first builder soaps that ever came through on the website. We made it in the last vlog. She selected to have a Aussie Bush essential oil blend using my signature recipe, some kaolin clay, and then some dark green, light green and yellow swirls through white. And this is now ready, coming off the cure rack, and is ready to send out to Rachel today. So I'm just getting this one all packaged up ready for her. So I'm super excited about that. We'll get all of her orders together and pack the other one I've got there to go out for Samantha, who wanted the those naughty coconut lime soaps. So get all these packed up. While I'm doing this, if you did see that last vlog, you know that this builder soap was the start of me seeing that there was something very wrong on my website, and it had to do with some apps that I was using. And where we left off was that I was still waiting to hear back from the developers. So basically, if you don't know, I've got a couple of apps that were on my website. One was to generate automatic discounts based off customer tags. And then another one I got in was to do options on products, including this builder soap. But the problem was when I actually put the second app on, which was from the same developers, the first app once again stopped working. I'd had problems with that app since the day I actually installed it. What they eventually came back to me after, you know, we signed off the vlog was that basically the second or the first app, which did all the automatic discounts, has two versions. There's the functions, which is their original version, and then the legacy version, which works in conjunction with Shopify discounts. And I had to upgrade to this legacy version to be able to do the discounts that I was trying to do with my customer tags. They just didn't work in their original version. So they had upgraded me and told me I had to be upgraded to do what I was doing. So then they said when I put this other app on to do these options, the legacy version of the first app was not compatible with the second app that I was using, and that I would have to downgrade back to the functions app So they said in order for everything to work, I'd have to downgrade back to the original functions version. And I said, but you know, things might not work. And they said, no, we'll get it working. So they downgraded my website and they said, or the app, and they said, okay, everything's now working. And I went in, I said, no, it's not. And now it's doing even more crazy things. It's doing things like, what was it doing? If you put an item in the cart, and then went to check out, went, oh no, I need to add something else. When you went back to the cart, all of a sudden there'd be 2 of that item, or maybe you deleted something out of the cart at some other point and it would be back in the cart. It was doing some really, really crazy stuff. And again, it was also making my customers have to log in to their account to be able to generate the discounts, but the discounts weren't always generating in the cart. And I just said, it's not working. We've got to get this fixed. It's just not working. And it went on for about another week after that. And they kept telling me they'd fixed it and they hadn't. And I said, look, can we just get rid of the discount app, because it's never worked since 2023 when I first installed it. It's never worked properly. Let's just get rid of that. I'll keep using the options app. Well, they came back to me and said, we can't really do that. And I said, what do you mean you can't do that? And they said, well, because you now want to use the Shopify native discounts, you know, to generate these permanent discounts, they said, this app doesn't work with Shopify native discounts. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. And sure enough, when you took the one app off and had a look, the Shopify native discounts weren't working with it. It's like, this is just absolutely crazy. Like, and I said, well, in that case, I'm going to need to uninstall and have both of the apps refunded. And so, you know, basically at the end of the day, you're now telling me that I can't have one app without the other app to be able to do discounts. That's not in your information when we download the app. So, you know, it's very, very misleading. I said, basically, I just want a refund for both the apps. And they said, oh, give us another day to fix. Basically, I said, no, I'm not interested. I want it off. I said, I've got things that I'm trying to launch on my website that I can't launch while we're all messing around here. And I said that I've got new pages and collections I want to create in the background, like through my theme editor. And I said, I can do that on the website that's live. I said, but if you somehow manage to fix this draft one that you're working on, I've then got to reload all that information into the draft, which could potentially break it again. I said, you guys have already spent 2 weeks on this. I said, and I can tell you that when it comes up for renewal, I'm not going to renew, so let's just save everybody's time and give me a refund. And they agreed. They agreed to do the refund. I'm just trying to find a box that's not too big for these, but big enough to put everything in. So they did actually agree to give a refund, and that was a whole other thing when it came through. And I told them I was really, really disgusted with what they had done. Basically, when the refund came through, I'd had one app had been on there for just under 2 months, had been renewed for just less than 2 months. And the other app I'd only put on less than 1 month ago, like 1 month earlier. And of that time, 2 weeks of it had been under this sort of open ticket. And when they refunded me, I was missing what was equivalent of 2.14 months per app. And I went back to them, I said, why have you kept over 2 months worth of subscription when they've not even been, one of them's not even been on there for a month? And they said, oh, they're the Shopify fees and we don't refund them. I was absolutely livid. I said, that is absolutely disgusting what you've done. I said, given all of the dramas that I've had, the fact that your listing is actually misleading because it doesn't say on the one app that I need the other app to get things to work. I said, it's just absolutely disgusting what you guys have done. I said, and at the end of the day, I also haven't left you a review. I said, the least you could have done was refunded the one in full because it's not worked from the day I actually put it on. And then the other one, taken that time off. No, they weren't having it. And it's like, that's fine. I just won't recommend you to anyone. So for those of you who kept asking me who it was that I was using. I'm never going to tell you who it was because they really were that bad. I have now gone on to using the Shopify native discounts, and I can tell you they are working so much better, so much more fluid. It calculates properly, it's quick, it's simple. I've also been able to implement a few extra things on the website, which makes it a little bit more fun. So things like when I had my candle discounts, I could actually give each of the tiers a different name, like the discount tiers, whereas I couldn't do that before. And I'm also now using another product options app, which I'm going to keep testing for a couple of months, see how it goes before I actually reveal what the company is, just to make sure that everything does work well. But it does appear to be working well, and a few other people have been doing the builder soaps. All the discounts are working and everything else. So super happy with where the website is, but I'm not super happy with this box packaging because we've got massive spaces in here, and that just means lots of rattling around, and because of the size of the box and things, it's going to just push that postage up really high. I'm going to have a bit of a play and see if we can get this into something a little bit better. There should be 2 soaps in here as well, but that really doesn't fill up much space at all. Oh, let's keep having, I'll keep having a play with this. All right, where there's a will, there is a way. I have worked it out now. The one box I had was not big enough. The other box was way too big. And it's not that I mind sending it in the really big box. It's just that when you've got a lot of empty space within a box, that's when you actually get that potential for stuff to get damaged. So what I've now actually gone for is 2 separate boxes. So we'll get everything packed into these instead, and then they'll actually get to where they're going safely. So we'll put our little builder soaps. All right, they go in nicely there, and then we can tuck in the 2 extra soaps that she's bought, and that just holds that all in there nice and snug. Oop, where's my stickers gone? My stickers have gone. All right, so that's in there. That one is looking good. And then, all right, so that's in there nice and snug. And now we've got these 3 gift sets to go in here, and they just fit perfectly in there. And then we've got our little room spray. All right, got our shredded paper in. We've got a little magnet, a little ray of sunshine, a little sample, and our thank you card. We're up to using our new thank you cards now. I showed them in the last vlog we did. Let's get that one all done up. Right, now that's all nice and snug. These 2 boxes actually sit nicely on top of each other. So I'll get all wrapped up like I normally do, and then we'll be able to get them into a post bag. In fact, I might even put them sit there. Well, I'll have a look at how they best go into the post bag and then get them done. And then we'll get on to packing Samantha's order. And then I am going to get on to packaging up this other advent calendar thing. I'm not going to say what it is, because for those of you that are thinking about ordering it this year, you need a few surprises. But I'm going to get on with doing that. And then it's about 2 o'clock, so hopefully it should be almost home time for me. So doing the lip balms took me a little bit longer than I anticipated because it's actually been quite busy in the shop. Opening up that street really has done exactly what I thought it was going to do. They do still have a few of the shop fronts actually blocked off with, you know how when you go into the big shopping centres and you see them with the wooden fronts on them as they fix up the shops. That's what they've actually done to a couple of the shops that were right down at the end just before where they've been doing all that work. So it looks like they're actually doing up those shops as well to kind of flow into the complex. But I did have a group of ladies come in, clearly local ladies, and their comments went, I can't remember exactly what they said, but their comments went along the lines that they didn't realise how many really good shops were down this end of the street now that they've opened up so that they can walk down it. That has been how much that roadwork really has actually affected what's been going on. And I've actually had quite a number of people today actually walking in, so, oh, I've never seen you before, and we walk up and down the street all the time. Usually I say to people we only see what we need to see at the time that we see it, because I do strongly believe that sometimes things have been there for a while, but because you actually don't necessarily need a candle, you don't know there's a candle shop there because it's not something you need at that time, but the minute you're looking for it, that's where you see them. But I do feel now that street is open, and it's also eased the driving traffic down the road. I do actually feel it's going to make things easier for people to spot. So very, very good. But I am now ready to pack Julie's order. So as I said, she's got our wholesale. Now the wholesale orders do come packed very differently to how the retail orders come packed because they are so heavily discounted. I can't then afford to put all the tissue paper and everything else inside them, but they do still come wrapped and presented how I feel is nicely. But let's have a look at what we've got. We've got our gardenia soap bars. So I've wrapped all of my wholesale soaps up so that they're actually not sitting next to each other. You know exactly what's in them. So we've got a gardenia. She has also ordered a calamine soap. That one's super popular in my range, which is why I've added it for the wholesale. We've got the patchouli and rose. This is what I do as midnight rose in my range. I'll pop that one in there. And then we've also got the oatmeal and goat's milk, which is unscented. And this is another reason I am wrapping them, because I don't want the scents to transfer into the unscented bars. So we've got those in there. And then we've got our vegan friendly lip balms and our beeswax, and she chose to have both of them in white tubes. For those of you who are considering ordering and you're a bit concerned about the vegan friendly things, because I know that some people just don't like cross-contamination when it comes to vegan friendly, and so out of respect for people that do not want their vegan friendly stuff to come in contact with beeswax items, I do actually have all my pink trays and pink equipment is for my vegan friendly batches, and then I have the green trays which are for all my beeswax lip balms. So I actually do have separate equipment for the different balms there, but that's looking pretty good. Let's get a little bit of tissue in there so it doesn't move around. No, not tissue, sorry, some crinkle paper. As you can probably tell from the last couple of vlogs, I am doing so much better. The medication I've been put on has really given me a whole new lease on life, and I've I'm feeling even better than what I did on the last vlog, but I do still have those mental blanks with words every so often. They just don't want to come. But anyhow, let's get that in there, seal that up. And as I said, they're not like the retail ones which come with all the pretty packaging, so that is how our boxes will go out. I do still, however, put them inside the satchels. The reason I actually put my parcels into the satchels is one, so that it's actually harder for people to open them. I've never actually had a problem with people opening up my parcels and taking stuff out, but I have seen some companies, particularly like the cookie companies and stuff, who have said that they've had biscuits taken out of their parcels when they've sent them to people. By putting them into the satchels, it does make it a lot harder for people to open the parcels when they're in transit. And the other reason is that it might be a beautiful sunny day here today, but it might be raining and chucking it down where you are, which means that if a parcel is left outside someone's house in a cardboard box and the postman is not as good as our post lady is, who likes to really think about where she's popping our parcels, if it's just left out in the open, there's a good chance the box is going to get wet, the products are going to get ruined, and being soap, the products are going to get ruined. So we always pop them into our little satchels. But there it is. Julie's order is now all ready to go out in this afternoon's post, so thank you for that. As I've said in the video that I put out the same week this is vlogs going out, if you are interested in the wholesale stuff that I've got available for other Aussie businesses, all you need to do is create an account on my website and then let me know your business name so I can activate the white label access on the page, and then you can see the lip balms and the soaps that are there. But now I've got that done, I think the next job I'm going to do is to actually pot up all of this hand cream that I've got sitting there, because if I run out of time today, I can always take the tubes of lip balm home and sit and label them up at home. So I think that's what we're going to do, get that out of the way, and then I'll move on to doing the next product for, I almost said what it was, I'll get on to doing the next product for the advent calendar. Alright, I've got about 15 minutes until I close the door, and I'm just taking a little bit of time to sit here and start labeling everything up. It has been such a good day. Even though I haven't had lots and lots of sales, there has been a lot of people actually walking by the shop. And I know that sounds really weird because you want people to come in, you don't just want them to walk by. But previously, most people weren't walking down this side of the street because it really did look terrible having it all blocked off and people were crossing up the top end. Or the other thing people were doing was and we've all done it. You can imagine yourself doing it. You're walking down the street, you can see that it's blocked off, and you kind of get to a point in the street where you slow down, and then you go, oh, there's nothing else there, let's turn around, go back. And it just happened to be that the front of my shop was where a lot of people were taking that action of going, there's not much else down there, let's turn back. But you tend to find in that sort of situation, people don't see what's right next to them at that point that they're turning around. So I was actually getting missed a lot. Whereas what I've noticed now, because people aren't put off about walking down the street, they're actually walking down. They're not focused on the fact that it's about to go into a dead end, and they're actually looking around. And a lot of people have now actually seen the shop and they've come in for a browse, a lot of locals. There's a few people who have actually been out for walks and things, and they've said that they will come back, you know, another time when they're not walking, which is fine, because I know, you know, I've seen that a lot sort of thing. But it's made such a massive difference, the number of people who have come in. And I have also had those few sales as well. Some locals who have just said that they're going for a walk because the road was open, they've never seen me before. So it's definitely a good thing that that has been taken down, and hopefully it's just going to get even better as we get towards Christmas. And I do also hope the lovely clothing shop that's just down the street there, she came to me last Christmas asking me how things were going. And I said, you know, to be honest, I've been in the shop 5 minutes. I wasn't expecting this Christmas to be that good. And she said it is the first Christmas that she's not done well. Like me, when you're in retail, you tend to save all of your pre-Christmas sort of sales to get you going through January, February, March until business picks up again. And she said that she just wasn't getting those Christmas sales, and she didn't know how she was going to get through the next bit of the year. And she said it is all because they had the footpath closed off, people were crossing over, people weren't seeing her. So I really do hope for her as well that business is really picking up and that she gets back to where she was. But I have about 10 minutes now until I go home, and I'm really looking forward to going home and putting my feet up. I am absolutely shattered. Just having that early morning start yesterday and then just being constantly busy, which is such a good problem to have. But all this making and stuff, I did actually, over on my bench there, I've got the second last advent calendar thing all made up. It is just cooling, so tomorrow I'll be able to cap it and pop the lids on. But yeah, it's been one of those days that it's just, I'm exhausted, but I feel good exhausted. I feel accomplished, I feel happy, and it's just generally good. Not a lot of filming though, because a lot of it was very, very repetitive work that I was doing, and I figured you might get bored just seeing me squeeze. I don't know how many tubes I did here. There was, well, I know there was 43 little ones, and I think I did 18 big ones. So there was a lot of hand cream, and I didn't think you wanted to see me squeeze them all. So not much filming, but maybe we'll have a little bit more tomorrow. I have to, I keep telling myself, I have to make soap dough oil tomorrow. I have to do it tomorrow. I was meant to do it yesterday, and I was meant to do it today. So we'll do it tomorrow, because I have to make the Christmas soap dough. Good morning. I'm just getting ready to go out to work, but first of all, I am going to make myself a little bit of lunch. I've been editing the video this morning, and I realized yesterday I actually didn't do an intro, like didn't say hello or anything. I just went straight into working. I think that was because I actually did do a hello on my Instagram story page. There were a couple of kids sitting out the front of the shop, and they thought they were so cool. They had their big JBL boombox and playing music out of it really loud, and it was the sort of music that was full of swearing, and they thought they were pretty cool. So I kind of just shut my door, but I could still actually hear that music coming into my shop. They had it that loud. So I must have just got on to working and then completely forgot that I hadn't actually done an introduction to say what I was going to do for the day. So yeah, that was a bit funny, but there we go. They didn't actually hang around for too long out the front of the shop. They were probably there for about 15 minutes, and then they kind of disappeared. I actually didn't think the school holidays were until the 20th of September, but there were a lot of kids wandering around the streets yesterday. So I'll have to have a think about putting my little trolley out the front today. It's actually quite sad. In all the years I've been doing business, so I've been doing stuff for 13 years. When I was doing markets, I only actually had one market where I actually know someone stole something. I saw them doing it, and as they walked off, I said to them, I hope you enjoy it. Like, you've been caught, but I can't be bothered to chase you, because, you know, you go and chase someone who has stolen from you at the markets, and while you're distracted by them, the rest of them move in and take even more stuff. So I never, you know, I always knew not to chase people at markets and just to let them go. But in the 9 years that I did markets, I can only actually pinpoint one theft. I did used to think people were stealing the sample pots for my lip balms, and I'm thinking, why would you steal sample pots? I'm going to actually realise sample pots have gone missing. And what I actually discovered was people were dropping the sample pots, and it was at a time when I was doing the twilight markets and was on a boardwalk over water. And one day I looked down and in between the boardwalk, I could see all my little sample pots of lip balm sitting on the rocks underneath. It's like, oh, that's where all my sample pots go. They're not being stolen, they're just being dropped. So I ended up getting something to put over that area so they wouldn't get dropped. You want some carrot, do you, darling? There you go. So in the 9 years of doing markets, I can honestly say I only know of one instance where something was stolen. I used to always film my market setup, and then I knew what had sold and stuff like that. So, you know, I was really, really lucky. And when I moved into the shop in Cleveland, I honestly don't think I had anything stolen out of that shop either. But since moving to Caloundra, I have had 3 thefts from my shop, which is really, really sad. You know, in the 12 years of working in the Redlands, I had one theft. That was it. But since being in Caloundra, I have had 3 thefts that I know of. And I usually search the shop high and low to try and find if I've just moved it and forgotten, and I can never find the stuff. And usually they do disappear from off the trolley out the front, which is why I always put the stuff out the front that I'm trying to get rid of, because I figure, well, someone's either going to buy it or someone's going to steal it, but it gets rid of it. So yeah, it is sad though that I've had more thefts in Caloundra in 1 year than I have had in my previous 12 years. That is quite sad, but it is what it is. But I'm still pretty lucky that it's only 3 things that have actually gone missing. But I will actually be thinking about whether to put the trolley out the front today, because there are so many more kids walking around in the streets. Sorry, that packet's always noisy, so we won't do that on the thing. That should do. We'll have a ham cheese salad sandwich with a couple of little cicada biscuits. That's what I had yesterday. Really enjoyed it. So there is the lunch all made up. Got to clean up this mess, and then we will head into the shop where I've got a whole lot of labeling, and I have to set up the oils and the lye water for making my soap dough soap. So I'll get all this cleaned up. I actually might make, I've got enough time. I'll make myself a fruit smoothie for my breakfast, and then I'll head off into the shop. Okay, so I'm just getting on to packing an order for Susan. I did set up the oils this morning for the soap dough, and I've now actually just turned my air conditioning on, so the oils and the lye should actually cool down, that maybe this afternoon I can actually make that soap up, which then I'll let it sit for a few days before I can start moulding it. So hopefully by Tuesday next week I can start creating the embeds. But we're going to pack this order for Susan. I had to make the reed diffusers. She has ordered 4 of the Moon Lake Musk reed diffusers. Absolutely love this fragrance. So I've made 4 of those up because I only had 3 on the shelf. So we've made those up fresh. We've got them in. She's also ordered our tallow cream with the Calm essential oil blend in it. And on her last order, I sent her a sample of the Seraphil perfume oil, and she really liked it, so she's ordered herself a pot. Now with those 4 diffusers, she does get 4 sets of reeds, and then she's ordered another 3 sets. So I'm just going to fill that little gap in down there. So for the rest of the day, there isn't actually a lot of stuff that I need to do. So I think I will be labeling up everything that I've made, putting it out where it needs to go, and then I'll sit down and evaluate what I actually have to do for the rest of this week. I've got a couple of products that I'm in the middle of testing, so I think I might actually have a bit of time to do that this week, which is exciting. So that's in there. Oh, that's what else I was going to say. When I went to drive home yesterday, you know how I said one of the shops, or a couple of shops down the front there, had it all boarded up, like they were, you know, renovating the shops inside. Well, they've actually now stuck the stickers on the outside to say what shops are going in there. For those of you down in the southern states, you may recognise the name. I had to look it up, but it's called Folklore. So it's Pholkore. So I'm assuming it's pronounced folklore. And when I saw the spelling, I thought, oh, that's got to be a Vietnamese-based restaurant. You know, pho, P-H-O, is the soup, I believe it is. So when I actually got home yesterday, I did see there's actually quite a number. There's one in Torquay. There's one in Geelong, and there was a couple of others around, and it looks really nice, a Vietnamese fusion style restaurant. So I've said to hubby, when they open up, we will have to go and have lunch there. Thank goodness I can't actually pop out of the shop during lunchtime to go and get stuff. Otherwise, I think I might be permanently broke, because Vietnamese, and in fact most Asian foods, the fresh Asian foods, are my favourites. I don't necessarily like the Western, you know, the sweet and sour pork and stuff like that. I like the really fresh Vietnamese style food. So it's really exciting to see that there is actually a restaurant like that going in. Looks like they'll be open for lunch as well, which does mean that when people come in, they might go for a bit of a wander after they've had their food, and they might not necessarily be able to park right out the front of the restaurant, which means that people are going to walk up and down the street and hopefully see more of what's happening around us. And, you know, those of us down here might get a little bit more foot traffic again, but it's definitely a really, really positive thing. So super excited about that. I need to go and get Susan's box all wrapped up, and then I'm going to sit and start labeling up these products I've got here. Actually, I do also need to create the label for the product I made yesterday for the Advent calendar, get that done up, and then I can take that home with me, because all the Advent stuff's at home. I just don't have enough room down here in the shop to do it. But once I've done that, I should also be able to have some lunch. I'm actually quite hungry. I don't think I put enough oats into my banana smoothie today. Usually I make myself a little fruit smoothie at this time of year, and I put in some oats or chia seeds or something, and it keeps me going right through lunch. But I mustn't have put enough oats in it today with the bananas and things. So I am starting to feel a bit hungry. Might even have an early lunch. It'll only be like half an hour early. But I'm going to go and do that, and then I'm going to plan out the rest of the week, because I've pretty much done everything I really need to do. So we've got to fill the next couple of days in. So I'm going to go and get Susan's order wrapped up. And before I do, I know people are going to ask me, because I've already had it asked on other videos, this little green tool here, I have got links to this in my Amazon storefront. It is just a paper cutter. I got it because I was wrapping so many of the wholesale orders and I wanted just something nice and quick and easy and not always having my scissors accessible to people walking in the shop. So I actually got myself this little tool and it is so handy, really easy on the hands. I get bad cramps and stuff in my hands, even though I have to kind of hold it. It's not that action that you have with the scissors. So this has been really, really handy for all the wrapping I've been doing. But as I said, there are links in my Amazon storefront to where I actually got these from. But I'm going to go and get this wrapped up and then have some lunch. To labeling up all the lip balms I've made, and I've just had a really nice surprise email come through from off the agent, just waiting to hear back from them now. Got this message to say that I'm due a refund. Who knew? I'm loving this new landlord, I really am. Part of my rent is that you pay something called outgoings. Not all rents will have outgoings. You tend to find if you've got outgoings as part of your rent, your actual rental price is super cheap, and then you have these what they call outgoings. My last place, it was just a set price and it didn't get split into outgoings. So this is my first time having it. And basically the outgoings are the general maintenance that the landlord is doing. So for here, it will include things like, we actually get building and pests done every 3 or 4 months, must be every 3 months, because I think he said he does it 4 times a year. So he comes in and he sprays the pest things. And then there's other things like they maintain the public area out the back with the toilets. They put all the toilet paper in and the hand soaps and things like that. And then just sort of the general clean up. They keep the front footpath and stuff clean. And there's lots of other things that go into the outgoings too. Now, we've come to the end of the year for sort of that rental time, and they've audited the outgoings apparently, and it looks like I'm due a bit of a refund. And this is my agent calling me now. All right, so that was a rather quick phone call, and it was very interesting as well because it highlighted something I was not aware of, and we'll have to go through my contract just to see if it actually is written in there. But apparently in some years they have also asked the tenants to pay extra for the outgoings because it's been miscalculated, or maybe there's been some big works done that have cost them a little bit more than what they thought. There's things like I reported that there was a leak in my shop and they had to actually come out and fix the gutters. They discovered that the gutters were all rusted out, and that's why it was leaking into my shop. So that would have come out of that sort of outgoings money. So if someone's had some real serious work done that's not covered by insurance or anything, that would probably be when they ask for a whole lot more money. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But anyhow, we're getting to that end of the day. It's about 20 to 4. It's got really dark grey overcast out there. It's got really humid as well, so I'm wondering if we're going to get a bit of rain later on. And I'm also wondering if hubby's going to meet me at the post office today. On the days that I don't walk Pepper, usually I walk her in the mornings, and I do 4 days a week where I walk her. And then the other 3 days of the week, hubby's actually been walking her. He gets home early in the afternoon, and then he goes and gets her lead and stuff, and he walks her down to the post. Well, he actually does a bit more than walk to the post office, because that's not a very long walk from the house. He takes her for a bit of a walk and a stroll around all the different parks, and we're just trying to get her really used to lots of different sounds and, you know, all the different things that are around. And we're also working on trying to introduce her to people without her launching herself at them, and she's getting really, really good. We're actually trying to teach her, if you don't pull and you don't jump up people will say hello to you. But if you act like a lunatic, people can't say hello to you because they can't, you know, contain you, sort of thing. But she is slowly learning that, and hubby's been doing that in the afternoons, because around by the parks and stuff there's a lot more people, there's a lot more kids and things like that. So we're really trying to get her not socialised as in talking to people, but getting used to social settings, and she's doing really, really well at that. In the mornings I don't tend to see a lot of people. There's about 3 people that I see regularly, and you know, we do the usual good morning and that sort of thing, but I don't get to see as many people on my walk as what hubby does. But with it being dull, grey and overcast and threatening to rain, I wonder if I am going to meet him at the post office today. We'll soon find out. I've got about 15 to 20 minutes where I'm going to keep labelling these lip balms. Tomorrow when I come in, I should be able to shrink wrap them all, get them into their things. Then I don't actually have anything to make. So I do have a couple of products that I am working on, and I actually they need a little bit of tweaking. So I might have a go at making those tomorrow and see how I go with that. So that is me for the day. All right, it is Saturday. I'm in the shop. I'm actually late into the shop today. I left home at the usual time that I always do, but when I got down to where the village is, and there's a big train crossing, there was not one but 2 freight trains, one going north, one going south. So we basically had to wait for the one to go so they cleared the track for the other one to come up as well. So I was stuck at the train tracks for about 4 or 5 minutes, and then I forgot that being Friday, sometimes the traffic, it's clear in certain areas, but then it builds up in other areas. And usually on a Friday, I will go through the back way to avoid that traffic buildup. And I just completely forgot about it because the traffic was moving so well. And then I hit that sort of Friday traffic. So, oops, I was 5 minutes late into the shop, but we've got the door open. We are all ready to go today. Fridays have proven to be the busiest days for me, and I'm hoping with, you know, the whole footpath being open and stuff, it's really going to be a lot busier. But school holidays start on Monday, so from this weekend. And sometimes when the school holidays start, you know, parents take their kids out of school for that Friday and then go off on their holidays early. So we'll just see how busy it is actually going to be today, whether we do have a lot of people coming up from Brisbane up to the coast for the, you know, the start of the holidays. I really don't know how it's going to affect it, because Sunshine Coast used to be really, really busy for school holidays, but they have said for the last sort of 18 months, it's not been nearly as busy as it has been. And I don't know if that is because of the economy and people aren't going away, or if they've just found somewhere else to go for holidays now. So we will wait and see what happens today. But yeah, Friday's usually my better sort of days. I don't have a lot to do today. I'm just finishing labeling up the last of these lip balms, which reminds me I still didn't give hubby the duds out of these lip balms. I have to give them to him tonight. Poor thing, he always gets the duds. I actually just had a couple in there that for some reason didn't fill up the whole way, and I think what it was is that the tubes didn't push into the trays fully, so they ended up with a little bit more of a top on top of them. I don't think this one, no, that one's not going to do it. A couple of them, the lip balm actually sat above, like above the rim of the tube, and then that takes away some of what can go in the final tube. So I ended up with a couple of the lip balms that weren't quite full, and I just give them to hubby because he's always asking me for lip balm, so I just take him those home. But we're going to get these done. I'm going to get them shrink wrapped, and then there actually isn't much else for me that I have to do. So I have got a couple of products that I just need to tweak the formula just a little bit more. So I'm going to have a go at doing that. Hopefully it works because it's going to be a Patreon recipe. And then I also have another product idea that's up here that I want to work on, and I also have a few other ideas floating around in my head, which is a lot of sort of admin work. So can't guarantee there's going to be a lot of filming today because it might be just a little bit boring, but I do have plenty to keep me busy, and hopefully, as I said, we'll get lots of people coming into the shop. Just finished doing that, so now I'm going to go and get the heat gun out, and I'm going to start shrink wrapping these. I shrink wrap them because people have a tendency to take lids off, shove them up their nose to have a smell. I don't know why we insist on people pick things up like that with their things stuck up their nose. And so I shrink wrap my lip balms so people can't stick these up their nose. And I've also seen people try and use them in other sort of retail spaces. Even though I've got all my tester pots, I make sure these are shrink wrapped to make sure that they stay nice and hygienic. So we're going to go and do that, and then we'll get on with the rest of the day. As expected at the start of doing today, I haven't done a lot of filming. It's not been one of my usual Fridays at all. I've actually only had, I think, 3 people come into the shop, and only one of those bought things, and they were my $2 soap ends that they bought. So it's not been a good Friday, but that's okay. All my previous Fridays have been pretty good, so we'll just kind of move on from that. I have been busy at the computer. I finally got my butt into gear and went and did all of the countdown labels for the advent calendar, just trying to keep it really beachy and Australian themed like. Even though I'm not using the boxes that I used last year, I still want to keep that Australian theme, because as I said last year as well, it is so difficult when you are in the hotter countries when it comes to Christmas, because everything is snow and pine trees and fires and everything that a Christmas isn't in the southern hemisphere. We are hot, we are beaches, we are bright colours and sunny days. So I do try to keep my advent calendar that sort of theme. Yes, that one's a little bit more sort of traditional Christmassy, but it's a kangaroo, so it still keeps in with that Australian theme. So got all the stickers designed. I managed to get all of up to 9 printed, and then I ran out of paper. So I'll have to bring in another roll of that paper with me tomorrow so I can finish printing them. But for now, I have an order from William, which I am about to pack. He likes seeing his orders being packed on the vlog. So let's see what he's got. Now, I'm not going to show exactly what this is because he's ordered one of the 5 mystery soap sets, and he's ordered the sampler one. So basically he gets one each from the 5 different ranges of soaps. We've got our everyday, we've got clay tanicals, we've got our limited edition, a limited edition with a bit extra, and then a decorative soap bar as well. So that will be a bit of a surprise for when he gets that. What else have we got here? We have got the invigorating shampoo and conditioner bar, and then he's ordered the citrus burst hair mask. And then we have 2 hand creams. We've got the cashmere silk and the sun kissed, and we've also got one of the summer breeze solid deodorants in here as well. So let's pop that in. And William is one of my Pamper Club members, so he does get a bit of a discount on his order there. Let's get some shredded paper. I keep forgetting that word. Some shredded paper in the box. Alright, so we've got the paper in there. I had to order another 2 boxes of this week. With Christmas coming up, I've only got about half a box left. So I've ordered another 2 5-kilo boxes of paper. That should keep me going throughout the Christmas season. We've got our little ray of sunshine in there. I have a little sample. I'll also include one of the new magnets because I don't think William has had this design yet. And of course, we've got the little thank you card. So in that all goes. Just tuck that under to make it look a little bit more presentable, like so. And then we'll get this one all wrapped up, and then I'll be able to drop it off at the post office on my way home. And I know that hubby and Pepper won't be meeting me at the post office today. I think he was really put off with their walk yesterday, but I actually walked Pepper this morning. Friday's one of my sort of walking days with her. She was a bit funny this morning when she saw, like, when I got up, she was super excited, like, yep, we're gonna go on her little safari, and she got all excited while I was putting my shoes on. And then as soon as she saw me take her Holstein lead out, she just, don't want it. I'm going to go and sit next to the sofa, and if you come near me, I'm going to try and run off. She's just really, really funny like that. And I think what it is, she is such an independent, free spirit that she really just does not like being put onto a lead. I've tried harness, halty, everything. And I think because she knows that once she's on the lead, she's kind of not in control of herself, that we're kind of more so in control of her. I think that's what she doesn't actually like about going for the walk. So what I have tried doing this week is I've always had an extender lead that I've used with the other dogs, and we actually did keep the last one that I had for Lucy because it was relatively new. I'd actually replaced it not long before we lost her. So I actually did keep it because they're not, a good decent extender lead is not cheap, and because she was a big dog, we needed a really heavy lead, and I think we paid something like $60 or $70 for it. So I wasn't prepared to throw it away or take it down to one of the charity places. So I just thought we'll keep it in case we end up with another big dog. Now Pepper obviously doesn't need it to be that weight. She's, you know, half the size of what Lucy was. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to try her on the extender lead and see how she goes. I just didn't feel she had enough street smarts for it, but she's actually proved me wrong. I've walked her twice now on it, and she walks really, really well. And she wasn't too sure the first time, and because, you know, the lead does that little bit of pullback, so it must have felt a bit weird to her when I first put it on, because she kind of did that whole, I can't move, like I'm stuck, there's something wrong with me. And as soon as I got her moving, she kind of got the idea that this lead gave her that little bit more freedom, so she could get a little bit further ahead of me, she could sniff, and I could carry on walking. And what I used to do with Lucy used to run up ahead, find something to sniff, and I'd just carry on walking until she was back here, and then she'd run back up the front to the next thing to sniff. And I'm trying to teach Pepper this is what she can do as well. She's got a little bit more freedom. But this morning she was a bit funny with the lead again. It's like, oh, I don't know what to do. She can't not walk. We've got a big yard for her, but it's not big enough for the amount of exercise she needs. I bring her back from a walk, and she did it today. We got back into the house, and I'd taken her halty and everything off her. She took one look at me, and then she bolted, and she ran through the house, through her doggy door, and she did 2 laps around the garden before racing back into the house. It's like, you're insane. So she needs to go for walks to get that pent up energy sort of out, but yeah, she's just not a walkie dog. Not a walkie dog at all. But that's okay, we'll keep persevering. And like I've said to hubby, that eventually once she actually learns how to walk properly without pulling, then we can actually resort back to putting her in her harness, because that's what I did with Lucy. So we'll see, we'll keep persevering. But because I took her for the walk this morning and their walk wasn't so pleasant yesterday, I know he won't be meeting me at the post office today. But anyhow, that's okay, they'll be playing ball in the garden when I get home, I am sure of that. But anyhow, I've got about half an hour until home time. All right, so we've got that all taped up, ready to go to the post office. I have also been working on a couple of ideas that are floating around in my head with both Soy and Shea and DIY body care. On the Soy and Shea website, I have subscriptions, which I don't think many people are aware of. One of those subscriptions is the Pamper Club, which is a yearly subscription where you get discounts off your orders, freebies and that sort of thing. And then I've got other subscription packages on there as well. One of them, such as that mystery soap pack that William has ordered here. I do that as you can either do it as a one-off purchase and add it into an order, or you can actually have it as a subscription. So every month or every second month, depending what you choose, I just send you 5 random soaps according to the category that you've selected. So that you might just want the everyday soaps, the decorative soaps, you might want to mix of them, you know, all the options are there. And then I just, when your subscription renews, I just package them up and send them off. You don't have to worry about ever running out of soaps again. I also have a couple of candle ones there as well. Recently I was able to add free shipping onto the subscription packages as well. So not only are you getting the products at a discounted price, you also get your shipping included for free. And then the more subscriptions that you have in a row, so say you've ordered for 3 months, I might include something else in that order. It's actually written in the descriptions as to what you get. But the problem is with these subscriptions, I don't think many people are aware I've got them there, even though I've promoted them, because they're kind of almost hidden on the website, and not purposely hidden. I've got my website, so it's divided up into categories, and like there's little menus across the top, and it's actually kind of tucked into a menu that I don't think a lot of people go into outside of gift giving seasons, and so I think it actually does get missed. So I'm in the processes of kind of working out how to move a couple of these categories around to make them look a little bit more obvious to people, and they can actually see these subscriptions are available. So that's what I'm working on with the Soy and Shea one. Hopefully I'll get it all kind of sorted and done in the next month or so. But I also am working on doing a subscription for the DIY body care website. This is kind of something that was floating around in my head. I've got a number of people who they want the recipes that I do on Patreon, but they don't want to join Patreon. They don't want the rest of it. They don't want to pay for something that they feel that they won't actually use. And I can understand that. I have been a member of other people's Patreon pages, and I didn't always get the value because I was so busy. I didn't have time to sit and read their posts and stuff like that. So I can understand why some people just don't want to join Patreon. They just want the recipes. And then there are some people who just don't trust Patreon, don't want to use it. And that's why I've set up the DIY body care, so people can come over and purchase the recipes from that website instead. But I know some people are also interested in getting those recipes, that monthly recipe. I put a new one out every month, and they're interested in getting that one sent to them. So I thought I will do it a little bit like, you know, take that Patreon idea of a monthly payment and put it as a subscription onto the DIY body care, so that if you are a member or if you are a subscriber, as soon as your subscription renews, I send you a link to the new recipe that you will then be able to go ahead and download it as part of the subscription, and it will be a price that is much lower than the price of the formulas that are on there, as a sort of reward for renewing it every month. So I want to do that. And then I saw this idea the other day, and I'm kind of stealing it, but kind of really running with it and changing it a little bit. And the idea will be to have a couple of different options for subscriptions. So the digital subscription would be available worldwide, because I'm not restricted with digital products like I am with physical products in terms of my insurance, so I can actually send those out. But then I want to start up another subscription which would only actually be available to Australians, and it would be a subscription so that each month it would be different. So no matter what time of the month you subscribe, you get that month's recipe that came out, plus you actually get the product sent to you as well. So you can actually have a feel about what that product is, whether you like the feel of it. You know, the way that I've created it, you can actually get a feel for it and decide from there how you actually want to tweak the recipe. And I want to do it as like a set monthly fee. So I'm kind of thinking that if we do it as a product one, it would probably be around the $24.95 per month, and then you would get the recipe and the product all shipped to you, but again, only within Australia. I cannot ship overseas. So I'm thinking about introducing that onto the DIY Body Care website. And you know, that's just something a little bit different. Rather than just getting that formula, you can actually get a feel for what that product is, especially if it's a product that you've never really heard of before. Like, I never knew what a hair mask was until I started getting requests for it, and I had to do a bit of research into what it was, and I had to buy a couple of hair masks to actually get a feel and a sense of what they were. So it's a really good way of experiencing it, and then you also get to try some more products that way as well. And they will be full-size products, not just tiny little samples. So for example, if I did a moisturizer, I would send out my full 150 gram tub if that is what I would present it in store. They won't be sent out in the same manner in which all the Soy and Shea stuff gets sent out. I would basically be using, I actually got these in just to try and see what would happen. I would actually be using the extra small padded mailers. So basically, if we had a product, like I've got this one here, it would actually just go into the padded mailer and get sent to you like that. No wrapping, no fluff to go with it. So it's not going to be all fancy pants like the Soy and Shea stuff, but you still actually get that product, you get that recipe as well. And I just think it might be a really nice sort of idea. Now, obviously, if I can, I will put some extra wrapping in with them if I do feel that something needs a little bit of extra wrapping. But I have actually designed the pricing based on using these extra small padded mailers, so I can keep the pricing of the subscription low. The idea that I actually saw was revolving around soap, sending out a soap of the month, and I really liked that idea, and I'm thinking about also incorporating that. I don't usually steal other people's ideas, but I really do like the idea. She's based overseas and does, as far as I know, I don't think she ships over here. So it would be nice for Australians to actually have access to something like that as well. So I am kind of thinking about having two different subscriptions. One which is a product subscription, so whenever I create the formulas, you get that product and the formula. And then I am thinking about also introducing a soap one, so each month I'll put a new soap formula onto the website and then send a soap bar out to people. And if for those that are interested in both of those sort of things, I would then also have a combined subscription for the both. But it is something I'm working on. Let me know what you think if you're here in Australia, if you are keen on that sort of thing as something just a little bit different on the DIY Body Care page. I'm just looking over there because I've got a product over there. I'm hoping it was what I made today. I've already done a ton of testing on this, but I wanted to do one more test on it with a fragrance that I know is notorious for me for splitting and thinning out surfactant-based products. And so far, this is looking really good. And if this recipe actually works, I've got to take it back home and try it out. If it's performing the way that all my other testers have, this might be the first recipe that I do as this option. We'll just wait and see. I'll know by next week, and if it's going to be a thing, I'll actually make a video of making this particular product and announcing that subscription. If not, it will be something that I hope to launch in November instead. So let me know what you think about that. I do have about 15 minutes until closing time, so I'm just going to go and put some of this stuff away, get myself all prepared to go home, and then we'll be back in for the final day, Saturday. All right, happy Saturday. I just want to give a quick apology. I've just been editing the footage from yesterday, and I don't know whether I forgot to turn the microphone on or if the microphone and the camera just didn't talk to each other and register each of them were on. But I do apologize for the really bad quality of the sound, and also the fact that you can constantly hear the hair dryers going next door. The microphone actually does cut a lot of that background noise out, but I don't know what I did. But I just thought I'll keep the footage in there anyway, because it was really sort of, for me, it was important to keep in there. Didn't want to refilm it. But anyhow, as I said, I'm about to head out, but I wanted to show you, I got a delivery yesterday and I was really, really excited about it. For the last couple of years, not including last year, I have always gone and bought Christmas paper to wrap the orders up from about November through to December. It's a really good way if you are ordering presents that you're sending to other people. They get it all Christmas wrapped and nice, ready to go straight under the tree. And I usually try to find Australian wrapping paper. And I found this awesome, awesome company that does the best wrapping paper. They're called the Wrapping Paper Company. It's so simple, isn't it? But they do these big counter rolls, and they don't just do Christmas paper. They do all sorts of paper, but they do have a lot of Australian designs, and it's all printed here, designed and printed here in Australia. Quite often people go, oh, it's designed in Australia and printed in China. This is actually designed and printed in Australia. I absolutely love this paper. It is fantastic quality. Last year I didn't get any. I only had a little bit left from the previous year. I didn't get any more. My heart really wasn't in things last year, which is I now know is all from this perimenopause. But now that I've kind of, jumped that hurdle, it's like, I've got to get Christmas paper this year, got to get it. And I have got Christmas paper for doing the advent calendar. So all the bits in the advent calendar are actually going to come individually wrapped, and I went and got different Christmas paper for that. Some of it's very Australian themed, some of it's a little bit more European themed. But then I got the big counter rolls as well, and I will do this one last because that's my favorite. That is my absolute favorite that's in that box. But they're big rolls. This one here, hopefully it's going to show. It's got like Santa with a surfboard, it's got barbecues, it's got koalas, there's strawberries and fish. There's just everything which is Australian. I'll try and grab the sort of product photo off the website so you can get a better image and pop it up on the screen. Absolutely love that one. And I think this is the paper that I'm going to be wrapping the advent calendars up in. The other one I got, I really liked it. I like them all. They just do beautiful papers, beautiful designs. This is kind of a mix between Northern and Southern Hemisphere Christmas, and I think that's what I really like about it. It's got your traditional warm Santa and your trees and stuff, but look at the Australian cattle dog on there, and you've got bits of wattle. There's your traditional Christmas puddings and everything on there as well. So it's a real nice blend of both Northern and Southern Hemisphere Christmas. So really, really like that one. And then this one, this is my favourite. I did go a bit overboard because I couldn't decide which ones to order, and they'll last me a couple of years. Look at this one. How Australian can you get? We've got sparkly bubbles, we've got strawberries, there's lobsters, there's apple pie. Oh, there's all sorts. Watermelon on this one. It is so much fun. I think my friend in Perth, I think she's going to appreciate this paper. So she'll end up with a couple of orders, no doubt, wrapped up in that one. But super excited that these papers have arrived. I'm feeling so much better about Christmas now. So, yep, we've got all of those. Anyhow, I better get to the shop. Otherwise, I am going to be late. I've got half an hour to get in there. Don't you... Hang on. I know he's got a doggy bag. That's all right. His dog's decided to go to the toilet on our lawn, and he does actually have a doggy bag with him. Well done, sir. Let's go to the shop. All right, so as you can see, we are down at the shop. I've just been and picked an order for Karina. She was actually one of my long-time candle refill customers down in Cleveland. She'd been bringing her candle refills to me ever since I was at the markets. And obviously now that I've moved so far away, she can't bring them down, but she has placed an order for her face scrub, which she always used to pick up as well, plus some melts in her favorite lemongrass and Persian lime, plus a couple of other extras in there too. So we'll get this one all packed up for Karina, and that will go out with Monday's post. There is not a lot for me to be doing down at the shop today. Hopefully we'll have a few more people around. Hopefully people came up overnight to have a bit of a holiday. We'll see what happens. But one of the things I will be doing, I did remember to bring down a new roll of my circle stickers. So I'll be able to finish printing up the advent calendar numbers. And then I have that tough task of deciding what numbers go on what products. It's always sitting humming and hawing, and I know some people just get the advent calendar and they just pull it out however, so the numbers really don't mean anything. But I have always tried to number them in sort of an order that makes sense as well. Sometimes if there's been products, say one day, I say I've got a scrub and a moisturizer, I usually try to pull the scrub out of the out first before the moisturizer, because you have a body scrub and then you apply moisturizer. So there is always a little bit of thinking which does go behind that numbering system. But as I said, I know a lot of people just have, you know, do random potluck out of their packs. Now, something else with those advent calendars, in previous years, I've also done a Santa sack with them, but I'm not going to do a Santa sack this year. Most people who are ordering the advent calendars have been doing so for the last couple of years, so I don't think they really need another Santa sack. They can just use one from the past. The other thing with this year's advent calendar, because I'm not restricted into these little boxes where I can only have small products in them, I've actually made the products a bit bigger. So in previous years, you might have only had like a 10 to 15, maybe even 20 ml sample of, say, a face cream. Whereas this year, I can actually put in much bigger tubes, like 50 grams worth. So because of that, the cost is a little bit higher. Sorry, I couldn't decide if the people were going to come into the shop or not. But anyhow, so it's not that the cost of the box is going to be much higher. It might be, once I've got it all finalised, it may be $5 more than it was last year, $5 or $10 more, but you are getting much bigger products. But if I keep that Santa bag in there, it's going to push it up even more. So I decided that for this year, I would actually not put the Santa sack in with the products. So those of you who have had them in the past, you can use those previous ones. Otherwise, for other people, maybe if you get like a little treetop Christmas, like a tabletop Christmas tree thing, you can pop your little presents under that, or get a Santa sack from out of, you know, the dollar store or something like that to pop your gifts in. But taking it out is going to enable me to offer these advent calendars at a price that I know people can actually afford. On saying that though, I actually do have 5 Santa sacks left from last year, and I will actually put them up as an optional extra to add into the advent calendar for those that haven't had those Santa sacks before. But there are only 5 of them available. Because I have to buy the bags in lots of 100, I am not going to be doing any extras as that optional extra. So it will only be 5, first come, first serve sort of thing. No holds, no messaging me, asking me to hold them. It will just be once they're on the website. If they're there, they're there. If not, I'm really sorry. Anyhow, let's get some shredded paper into this box to hold everything in place. Now, because I know that Karina does actually like these more citrusy, bright, happy scents, and because she can no longer come in and smell, I'm also going to include a little sun-kissed sample rather than a bath and body sample. I'm going to include that in there for her as well, but she still gets a little ray of sunshine too. Let's pop that in there. I've got to do the welcome card up and get that all packed and wrapped. There's not much else going to be happening today. I don't have anything else to make, though I could possibly have another bit of a tweak of this. I'm actually working on a liquid shampoo. I've been working on it for a little while, and I'm really happy well, I'm really, really happy with one formula, and then yesterday's performance of the second formula, I'm not happy with. So basically, this is the formula that I'm really happy with. It's got a beautiful consistency in there. This is not going to be a retail product within Soy and Shea. This is a recipe I am working on for Patreon. I've had quite a number of requests for a liquid shampoo, so I'm working on that for them. And also it will go onto the DIY body care website. And I was trying to do two different options, like two different thickeners. I really, really like this thickener in here. This formula was actually working well. I had to do a little tweak, and now it's just gone way too thin. So I have to keep playing with that one. So maybe I can have another play with this one today, but that's not good surfactant viscosity, but that one definitely is. But like I said, this is not going to be a retail product for Soy and Shea, unfortunately. I just make the solid shampoo bars and conditioners, which I just don't have the need. Like, I've been asked for a formula, but I've never really been asked for liquid shampoo within my business. And to be honest, I cannot be competitive with the big supermarkets when it comes to things like liquid shampoo and body wash. So that is specifically for Patreon and the DIY body care. Talking of which, going back to, let me get Karina's welcome card done up. So in the last bit of footage with the terrible sound quality, I was talking about the subscription that I'm looking at putting onto the DIY body care. I'm still interested to know what people's thoughts are, whether it is something, if you're here in Australia, that you would be interested in. I've already asked my patrons about it. It would be either you come to the DIY body care or you go to Patreon. They're not going to be the same thing. They are going to be different things. On Patreon, you get a lot more of the behind the scenes happenings of what is happening within my business. And you do get that recipe. Whereas on the DIY body care, it is solely going to be about the actual recipe and receiving the actual product, which is not something you get on the Patreon page. So these are two completely separate things, but I want to offer it as an alternative to Patreon. So I'm interested to know what people think, if it's something that they would be interested in doing a subscription where you receive the recipe and the product. As I said, there'll also be the option just to receive the digital recipe as well. I said that I was almost tempted to start it, so it starts from the 1st of October, and I was thinking about it last night, and I thought, no, I'm not going to rush it. My initial thought was to start it in November, give myself a chance to really get everything planned. I want to be able to get 3 or 4 recipes ahead of where I am to make sure that we're always on top of things. Basically, on the 1st of the month, the recipe changes, and then, so even if you've, say, subscribed on the 15th of a month, you still get that current month's recipe and product. And then when the new product comes out on the 1st of the next month, you will have to wait until your renewal subscription comes up before you get it. But I was thinking last night, no, I'm not going to rush it and mess it up. I am going to leave it so it doesn't actually start until the 1st of October. And that just gives me plenty of time to make sure that I've got everything in place. I've got enough postal bags and things like that. So watch this space for more information on that. It also means I won't have to rush making a video, because what I will do is I will make a video to come out the week before the new product launches on DIY body care. And the idea is then you can actually, if it's a product you're just not interested in, maybe it's not a vegan friendly recipe, something like that, you can actually skip subscriptions because you'll know ahead of time what the next product is actually going to be. So I just thought I'll leave it until then, but I'm still really keen to know what people's sort of ideas are about it, whether it's something that you're interested in or you just think that's a silly idea or anything else. So yeah, definitely let me know. But like I said, I don't think I am going to start it until November, and that just gives me those extra few weeks to get everything in place and hopefully start it without any problems. So yeah, I will definitely be announcing that next month if it's definitely going ahead. So yeah, there's not much on for today in making wise, so I don't know again how much I'll be able to film, but there are a few people walking up and down outside, so hopefully we'll have a slightly busier day in terms of the shop than what I did yesterday, and then I'll just potter around and do what I need to do and film what I can. All right, so I have just had to do a bit of a move around within the shop. There are 5 girls hanging around in the street outside. I'm going to guess they're about 11 or 12 years old, so goodness knows where their parents are, if they even know that they're hanging around in the high street. Like, there's no houses close by. But they're hanging around. They keep running in and out through my door and pretending to smell the melts, and then they keep walking past my trolley out the front but watching me at the same time. So I'm just standing there watching them right back, and I've just decided, you know what, I'm going to pull that trolley in. I've gone out and I've pulled the trolley in, they're watching me do it, and then I've actually just shut the door as well, because they're up to no good. They really, really are. School holidays. Ooh, maybe it was a good thing down in Cleveland that everyone disappeared for school holidays. But yeah, the school holidays tends to be when I have things actually pinched from out the front of the shop there, which is really, really sad. Like I said earlier, I didn't have that problem down in the Redlands, but it has been a big problem up here on the Sunshine Coast. But we won't go there. I have actually shut the door because I've got all these little 2-ounce candle tins there that I've had sitting on my bench. I'm kind of at that thing of when I've got excess of certain things, I'm trying to make them up and to, you know, either give them to my Pamper Club members or pop them in the store as something. I've got these little 2-ounce candle tins. I'm actually going to make up a limited edition Halloween scent to give to my Pamper Club members throughout the month of October. So when they place an order in October, they'll automatically get one of these little candle tins in their order. Whatever's left at the end of the month, I'll either pop online or pop into the shop. I've only got 17 though, and there are 24 and I'm in there, so there's 23 Pamper Club members, so you will have to be quick if you want to grab one of these. It is limited stock. They were bought in for something else. I had 17 tins left over, and I just thought, well, we'll give you guys a little Halloween treat, seeing as I'm not really doing much for Halloween this year. You guys will get a little Halloween candle when you order. So I've just wicked all them up. I'm melting down the wax. I want to get that front door open again when I actually make the candles up, so the smell wafts out into the street. But I want to have another go at this particular recipe here. I've just tweaked it a little bit, and I've also got my night cream recipe that I've been tweaking and want to work on. So I need to go and get all those ingredients from the back, but with those girls hanging around out the front, I've just closed the door so I can go out the back and I can hear the door opening while I'm out the back there, so less chance of at the moment, all I can really now access are the melts and the oil burners, but still, it's the principle of it. So I'm going to go and gather the ingredients I need to make these 2 products. Then I can get my door back open and I can get on to actually experimenting with a few of these things. Onto that night cream, what I was going to say, I did actually discontinue the night cream for a couple of reasons. The first is that it was jam-packed full of high-end oils. We had things like evening primrose oil, olive squalene, there was camellia oil in there, and jojoba. Now those 4 oils are top shelf labels. When you think about your spirits, they're top shelf oils. And we also had the shea butter in there as well, which is kind of like middle shelf. There were no bottom shelf oils in this cream, and as such, it was a very expensive cream to have on my shelf. It was the most expensive cream I had at $24.95, and even then it should have actually been priced higher. I ended up deciding, because it wasn't selling very well because of that price point, I ended up deciding that once that lot had gone, I would remove it from the shelf, reformulate, and make sure that it comes back into line with all of my other moisturizers, which does mean taking out some of those top shelf oils and popping in a few more of the middle and maybe a bottom shelf oil as well. But that's not to say that it's going to lessen the quality or the effects. It's just about picking the right sort of oils. So instead of using something like camellia oil, I'm tossing up whether to do apricot kernel or avocado oil, which are both full of lots of skin loving benefits. Has a little bit more than the camellia oil, but it is that sort of middle price shelf range. So I'm going to have a play with this. The other reason I took it off the shelf was because I was talking on my stories about I may have even mentioned it in the last vlog as well. I was having trouble with the essential oil blend that I use in it, my Lavender Dreams. And my conversation, in fact, I did talk about it in the last vlog, my conversation with the supplier, the first supplier of this essential oil blend, they came back to me with another quote which cost even more than their first quote, and I just said no way. But I actually have found another supplier within Australia who actually is a reseller of their essential oils. So although I have to pay a little bit more for the essential oil, their shipping is not one of the shipping quotes I got back from this company was $110 plus GST. So we're looking at $121 to have a 1 kilo bottle of essential oil shipped to me from Melbourne. This other company that is a reseller of those essential oils charged me $25. So actually, ultimately, even though I paid a little bit more for the essential oil from them, it ultimately saved me a lot of money. I got in that essential oil and it actually smells just as it should. So I'm now actually able to make up my blend again, which will go into this night cream. And so many people recently have asked me when the night cream is coming back. So I have just reformulated. We're still keeping that evening primrose oil in here. That is a very, very top shelf oil, but it's just what makes that night cream just perfect. And I'm still keeping that really high amount of shea butter, which is what makes it so thick and luxurious in there. But I've had a bit of a tweak. I'm going to make myself up a small batch of this so I can take it home and try it out over the weekend, see what it feels like, do my little testing over the next few weeks and see if I'm actually happy with the tweaked formula. And if I am, it will be coming back into the range within the next month or so. So I'm going to go and grab my ingredients, get that door back open so that when I start making the candles, those smells can waft out. I think the girls have actually disappeared, so that will give me a little bit of ease or peace of mind. It really is terrible, but anyhow, I'm gonna go get these ingredients. All right, so it is 2 o'clock. I am ready to go home. I think on my way home, it's a bit dull grey out there, and I have had notification on my phone to expect rain, but I'm thinking I actually might stop off at our local Bunnings and see if I can find any clearance plants to go in our front garden. I'm really after some Australian natives to go in there, and usually they have a few which have been discounted, so I'm going to stop there on my way home. Now, although I've finished for the week in the shop, it doesn't mean to say I'm going to go home and put my feet up, sadly. I've got lots of things I'm going to be doing over my weekend. I have photos to take. I've got to take photos of all the, I say all Halloween, but what Halloween stock I will have. There's going to be 2 soaps, and I'm also going to have the option to do custom order or made to order candles. I've had a few people asking me if I'm doing Halloween candles this year. I am not pre-making them. Basically, if you want Halloween candles, they are only going to be available on the website to order. You order what you want in a medium or a large, picking all the past Halloween scents, and then I make them once those orders come in. So there will be a 24 to 48 hour delay on sending those parcels out, but I really just don't want to be making up candles which I'm just going to discount and give away over the next 6 months, because that's what's been happening with Halloween. So this year, just to save on that waste, I've decided that they're going to be custom order only. And not only that, I'm also giving people the option of what label that they want on the candles. I know some people want the scent but don't want the Halloween labels that go with it, so I'm actually offering a choice. So a trick or treat is one of them, so you can either have the trick or treat label or a mixed lollies. It's the same scent, just one's an everyday sort of label, the other's not. Things like we've got poison apple and apple cider, so same scent, just different labels, so you can have them sitting on the shelf for a lot longer without it looking like you've got Halloween all year round, for those of you that don't want Halloween all year round. I also have to take photos of the Pamper Club special. These are the only Halloween candles I have pre-made, and they, as I said before, they're going to go out with the Pamper Club orders. I have only got 17 and 23 Pamper Club members, but that doesn't mean to say all 23 are going to order during that month. I usually get a few Pamper Club orders, but we'll see what happens, because I am planning on releasing the advent calendar in October, so these could all go quite quickly. We'll see what happens. If there are any left over before the last week of October, then I will put them up for grabs on the website, because I don't want them sitting around after Halloween. I did also create that night cream. I've got the pot here because it was only a small batch. It cooled down really quickly. Really happy with the consistency of it. Night cream is generally quite a thick, heavy cream, but I don't like my creams to be greasy. So I wanted that nice, thick, heavy feel, but without the greasy feel. And that is feeling really nice right now. And although I said I took out some of like those high-end oils, I didn't just go cheap out on it either. I did mention I'd taken out that camellia oil, which comes from the tea bushes. So to keep in those antioxidant properties that the camellia oil have in, I actually added in green tea extract, which is a bit more potent than the oil. So even though I took some things out, I also added other things in. And I'm going to be trialing this over the next few weeks, seeing how it feels on the skin, especially with it warming up as well. If this all goes well, it'll go out on the shelf and it will be much more competitively priced compared to my other moisturizers that I've got as well. I also decided that rather than making this one purple like I usually do with my my night cream, I'm just going to leave it as a white cream. So that's to go home with me as well. But that is pretty much it for today. I am absolutely shattered. It's been a good week. I'm so pleased they've opened up that road. It really has helped. And then I'll be able to give you a bit more of an update on that next month as well. But if you're not following along on the socials, make sure you go and follow along both Soy and Shea and DIY Body Care, because I'll be keeping you updated on all these things I've been speaking about, like the subscriptions, the release of the advent calendar and stuff like that throughout the next couple of weeks before the vlog. So go and check out those 2 social media pages as well. But I hope you've enjoyed coming along with with this month? If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below? I always say that because it really does help that interaction to get it out to more people and help more people actually find me. Because believe it or not, I have had people come into my shop and say that they were having a cup of coffee up at the cafe on the corner, and one of my YouTube videos popped up to say that I was in the area. So it really does help when people comment on videos. So I hope you've enjoyed coming along. Until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one, and I will see you then. Bye.